Oh, how much I love that Nigun. Thank you, Cantor.
You should thank Ethan. That's from Ethan.
Yeah. Every time on our cue sheets here, it says Ethan's Nigun. It doesn't necessarily, normally that would mean that Ethan wrote it and created it, but no, Ethan just brought it to Temple Sholem. And Ethan is our percussionist slash clarinetist and all around writer of music and so many things. He and Hannah just grace us with their presence every week. But the idea...
You're not too shabby yourself, Minkyu.
Yes, thank you, Minkyu. The idea of starting with a nigun, a wordless song, something that everyone can join in. It's kind of reminds me of this experience of the new year, right? We all of a sudden have this moment that we all engaged in. Every single person, no matter who, what, where, when, why, the calendar changed. They may not have stayed up till midnight. They may not have stayed up till 11 o'clock to watch the East Coast time go, which is what I did. But everyone engaged in the turning of 2023 to 2024. It's this universal experience, right? Some people want some holidays, especially want some holidays to be universal, but really, this is our one true universal experience. Just like this wordless song, we get to all experience it. We don't have to know any words. We don't have to know the tune beforehand or anything. We just engage with the song. This evening, we get to engage with a lot of music, a lot of prayers, especially for those who are new or haven't been in a while. We're going to engage with a lot in our prayer book tonight. And there's a lot in the prayer book to let your mind wander. For example, we're going to open up to page 120 for our candle lighting. And before we even get to inviting up our blessings for our lighting, we get to know how this page works. On our right side, we have the Hebrew and the transliteration. The transliteration, which is exactly what the Hebrew says, so anyone can be able to follow along. But even my favorite part is all the things on the left side, on page 121. We have additional readings, additional poems, additional words that can help us to engage with the prayer. If we didn't want to engage with the prayer, we could let our mind wander, or even let our mind wander to the fun facts at the bottom. So, if you don't have a prayer book, I'll invite you to make sure you have one. They're in the back. And to help us bring in this light of Shabbat, I get to welcome up one of my favorite families, Jessica, Matt, Cameron, and Jeff. Matt, you as well, absolutely. To help light the Shabbat candles in honor of Cameron's bar mitzvah tomorrow. So again, we're on page 120.
I know. That's perfect. You can blow it out. You can leave it right here. Thank you. Okay, ready, guys? There we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, Jessica. It's beautiful.
And Jessica, Matt, and Jeff, you all can have a seat while we give Cameron his first taste of leading our community by leading us in the Kiddush, which can be found on page 122 as we rise in body or in spirit. 123, excuse me.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon, inhilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehila l'maikraye kodesh, zecher l'yad mitzrayim, ki vanu v'harta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
Just hold it up and say l'chaim instead of drinking it.
L'chaim.
Yeah.
L'chaim.
Thank you. Good job, Cameron.
We may be seated. We're going to turn ahead to page 138. There we find L'chadodi, where we welcome in the Sabbath bride, the Sabbath love, down the aisle as if we're at a wedding. So we're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On that 9th verse, we'll all rise and we'll face the center entrance as if we're welcoming the Sabbath bride down the aisle.
Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'ribor echad yishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo Shemu tiferet v'litila l'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor havracha Meirosh b'kedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machashavat yechila L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri Ki v'orech u'mi uri shir daveri Kevod Adonai alayech nigla. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela.
We rise and face the entrance.
Boi v'shalom hateret bala Gam b'simcha uv'tola Toch emunei am segula Boi chala L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela.
On page 146, we remain standing for the Baruch Hu.
Lai, lai, lai Lai, 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
At the top of page 151, let's pray together in the English. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We may be seated.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shivtecha b'beitecha ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Emet. On page 158, we recall, we re-experience, we re-engage with the experience of leaving Egypt, of marching towards freedom, of being fully together, a group fully together, hand in hand, marching with the walls of water on each side, and looking forward to what it means to be free.
Mi chamocha ha'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, oh seifele, Nora tehilot, oh seifele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, mokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze li'anu ve'amru. Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam vaed. Lai, 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 lai,
On page 162, at the top of the page, our Vishamru is direct directly from the book of Exodus, which a book that we start this Shabbat, in Hebrew called Shemot. The people of Israel keep Shabbat. Shabbat doesn't keep itself. Shabbat doesn't happen unless we make it Shabbat. We make it Shabbat when we light the Shabbat candles. We make it Shabbat when we join together to do so. And so by doing so, we have literally kept Shabbat, but Shabbat also keeps us, the Jewish people, coming together as a beautiful, holy community, a Kehila Kedosha.
Shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
As we move into our Amidah on page 164, we were reminded of two lines that I think are some of the most beautiful two lines there at the top of page 165. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We rise in body or in spirit on page 164, continuing on the even pages.
Adonai, Hananana, Sifatai Tiftach, Hananana, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Hananana, Adonai, Hananana, Sifatai Tiftach, Hananana, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Hananana, Adonai, Hananana, Sifatai Tiftach, Hananana, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chazei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב והושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש, ושמך קדוש, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
On page 173, at the top of the page, we'll use this reading to prepare for our silent meditation. Together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Take those moments of silent prayer, meditation, each of us in our own way, whether it's the words on the page or the words in our heart. When you feel ready, I invite you to be seated.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. El Kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
As we turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing, we turn our page to page 371. And there we find our Misha Berach prayer. Literally, Misha Berach, the one who blesses. We ask God, the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, all of those who have helped to craft the Jewish people throughout our Torah. We ask God who blessed them to bless our friends, our family, our loved ones who are in need of that blessing of healing. On this Shabbat, we're also, as we've been doing for many weeks now, thinking about those families who have loved ones who are still held hostage in Gaza, and thinking about those innocent Gazans who are living through war and terror right now. And if there are any names who you're thinking of who are in need of healing, those friends, family, and loved ones, I invite you to share their names aloud with the community. So we hold all of them in our hearts, and pray for healing for our whole world. We recite the words in the middle of the page.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Makor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Mi shebeirach imoteinu, Makor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body. And let us say, Amen.
About 3 months ago, I made a New Year's resolution. I had been working out at home semi-regularly, but I wanted to work out more, if you will, regularly. So I joined a gym, something I've done a number of times in my life before, but this time I was determined to make it stick. Now, for my fellow gym goers, you know that going to the gym in January is not ideal. The place is packed, unlike any other time. But it was far less packed when I originally made my resolution, because surprisingly fewer people made a New Year's resolution at Rosh Hashanah. But reviewing, thank you for that, the few giggles there. So, what do we do now that we have another New Year's Eve, 3 months after we had Rosh Hashanah, our Jewish New year's Eve, if you will? Reviewing our 5784 resolutions might be a good place to start. A 3-month check-in might be just what we need. So, is your New Year's resolution 5 days old or 3 months and 5 days old? Where are you on your resolutions? And stepping back, why do we even do New Year's resolutions in the first place? For the Gregorian calendar New Year, the concept feels, well, secular. We do it because it's the turning of a passage of time. So when the calendar changes, why don't we change as well? This makes a lot of sense. But for Rosh Hashanah, for our Jewish New Year that we had back in September, the resolutions are deeply part of the experience. We spend the whole month of Elul, that last month that leads up to Rosh Hashanah, preparing our New Year's resolutions. We spend a full month apologizing to those we've wronged. We do a cheshbon nefesh. It literally means an accounting of the soul. When you're in Israel and you order an ice cream, the cashier might ask you, would you like a cheshbon? Of course, they're not going to ask you, would you like a? But they're going to ask you if it's a cheshbon that you want. Cheshbon literally meaning receipt. Nefesh meaning soul. It's literally a receipt of the soul is what we do for the whole last month before Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah takes a lot of work. New Year's Eve, though, gets a lot more advertisements for gyms and weight loss programs than New Year's Eve does, and takes maybe a little less work on that day. The difference between Rosh Hashanah and New Year's Eve is stark, because as Rabbi Gabby Weinberg puts it, she wrote, Judaism teaches us all that if you want to change your life, it's perspiration, not inspiration that you'll need. Change doesn't come from wishing and hoping. It comes from doing. I love this phrase because our Rosh Hashanah New Year's is all about doing. It's about those apologizing. It's about the heshbon nefesh. And what if we bring that to our Gregorian calendar New Year's Eve? Really putting the effort in. Granted, we're 5 days in already, but there's still plenty of time to put that effort in. One such way that you could do differently, I'm a rabbi, so I'm going to give you an example that's Jewish. One way you could do Judaism differently is through the weekly Torah portion. We're actually commanded to read the Torah portion 3 times every week. This is in the Shulchan Aruch, a later writing. We're commanded 3 times a week. The first 2 times are said to be read in Hebrew, and the 3rd time in translation. I don't even get close to that weekly. But I view it as a nice stretch goal, if you will. Reading the Torah portion, or even reading a Devar Torah each week, could be a simple goal for each of us. A Devar Torah, of course, something that someone has written about the Torah portion. This could be a simple goal for us. 10 minutes a week to just read the Torah portion of that week. Read that portion of the Torah. Read that portion of the Bible. It might seem repetitive. It's the same thing I read last year. But, there is so much change. Each year we read, we interpret, we digest those same exact words of Torah. Those words, they never change. Thousands of years we've had them. They've never changed. Yet, we read them every single year. Because we change. Our perspectives change, our life experiences change, and they change year to year. Thus, the ways that we interpret those stories, they change. This is especially true when we read the books of Genesis and Exodus, which we're starting this week. As Rabbi Gabby Weinberg continued, reflecting on the matriarchs and the patriarchs, finding one another changed when I met the person I was meant to marry. And understanding the sibling and parental strife that's in Genesis, that changed as well. When my family expanded, when we experienced loss, when we tried to decipher guidelines for contemporary health practices, all the different moments in our lives, they change how we read Torah. When one would read this week's Torah portion, Shemot, they would find a character in the Torah portion who's going through a huge transformation. The character who's going through a transformation is not Moses. He goes through quite a transformation, but not who I'm talking about. It's not Moses' mom or his sister Miriam. It's not Pharaoh. Rather, it's God who makes the transformation. Rabbi Noah Arnau writes, the Torah describes the bondage, the agony, the pain, the crying out of the Israelites, the suffering at the hand of the Egyptians. But finally, as we read, their cry rose up to God. God heard their moaning, and God remembered God's covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. God looked upon the Israelites, and God took notice of them. So God heard, God remembered, God looked upon, and God took notice. Or in a slightly different translation, God heard, remembered, saw, and knew. When we're working on resolutions, this is how we act. When we are doing, we're hearing, we remember, we see, we know. We hear ourselves. We hear, what is it that I can improve on? What is it that I know that I could do a little bit better? We remember. We remember something that we can work upon. It's been a whole year that we've been amplifying what has been going on, and we get to really distill it down to remembering what is the moments that were important to us. We see the future. We see how we could be, where we want to be, and we set out the path, knowing that it will be tough, but knowing that we can do it. As we dive into this year of 2024, still in the midst of 5784. Had to remember what number we were on. As we dive into these years, I invite you to take a moment to think about yourself and who you really want to be in this year. Dwell on it. What is it that you want to change? What is it that is not going as great as you'd hope? Why are you persisting in it? What's motivating you? How would you explain it to yourself? How would you explain it to anyone else? How would you explain it to God? And we remember some of the merits, many of the merits, the ways in which we're good. In this time of focusing on ways to improve, we gotta remember those moments that are good as well. Taking time to pat ourselves on the back, forgiving ourselves for the things we need to work on. And it's okay. We'll make a plan, a firm plan, a tough and serious plan. And that is how we'll get started to make a change in 2024. Shabbat Shalom. With that in mind, we turn to Aleinu L'Shabeach. Literally means, Aleinu means it is on us, as we rise on the middle of page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 591 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
We may be seated.
Oh, that's right. We're getting back to things now.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, and you're some of the
don't.
first things that are going on.
So exciting. More than singing, I love teaching.
Great.
Even more.
So what's going on with you?
So I am teaching a course that I do annually, Prayer and Liturgy 101, super not scary, walking through our prayer book together, talking about the prayers, getting into details. That's going to be starting on January 14th. It'll run all the way to the end of the month, and it will be, it says online.
It's online only.
Oh, okay. I used to like to have them in the room, but okay.
I know.
All
We
right.
run out of space on Sunday mornings.
Okay, online. Thank you.
And then Monday, January 15th, so this coming Monday, or no, a week from Monday. None of these things are this week, in fact. So they're all heads up, which is good to know. We'll have the adult education Monday night film night, watching The Jewish Cardinal. Then a week from Tuesday, this is a good one to have a heads up on, Temple Shalom's Israel trip information session. We're still planning on visiting Israel late in, I believe it's June, May or June, or somewhere around there. Someone will correct me. June? June sounds good. For an informational session, heading to Israel with Rabbi Conover, and I'm sure we have many questions, and we'll be able to answer a lot of them as well. And finally, starting at the end of the month, is a Peaceful Parent Project. It's an immersive cohort experience for Jewish parents to support and nourish their lives, both as parents and as individuals, creating a micro-spiritual community of parents, including study, discussion, and opportunities with a very skilled educator. And really encourage, and so this is for parents of children 1 to 18, or 0 to 18, really. And so I encourage anyone who is a parent of those ages to think about joining in for that. That doesn't start till the end of the month, January 28th. So our final set of announcements is a sadder set of announcements, which we do every single week. It is the announcements of the yard sites. It is announcements of those who have passed away. And we do this in a really honorable way, where we stand and we honor those who were missing. I wanted to try a little bit of a different minhag, a little bit of a different custom on this Shabbat, which is if you recognize any of the names on this list, I'll invite you to rise when the name is said, and when we go around, I'll invite you to rise for anyone who you are observing yard site for. And then we'll all rise as one community all together. So I'll invite you, if any of the names are for you, to rise so we can honor you as a mourner. We can see you and we can recognize the emotions that you are sitting with. So our Temple Shalom community this week is thinking of Susie Gussis, Hanuch Dorkaker, Joshua Sample, Ida Anger, Charles Corky Goodman, Case Phillips, Alvaro Lopez Pinto, and Shirley Goldman Herzog, as well as the yard sites of Doris Arnheim, Abe Baker, Beatrice Berkowitz, Sam Chibnick, Sophie Fierstein, Harold Finkel, Leonard Fript, Lorraine Gard, Jean-Pierre Gaskins, Abe Goldstein, Gladys Gradman, Jeannie Grossfeld, Amy Moore Hagler, Shirley Carmel, Matilda Leon Jimenez, Julius Abraham Lessman, Lara Levitin, Sid Marks, Randy Milberg, Cecia Miller, Judith Miner, Stephen Reinberg, Shirley Rosenberg, Sherilyn Rudd, Frida Rudoy, Rita Sacker, Irving Samuels, Benita Saper, Meyer M. Shabzin, Esther Schiff, Anna Siegel, Jed Snyder, Arlene Tucker, David A. Tukel, Pearl Weinstock, and Stephen Weiss. If there are any other names which you'd like to add to our list of memory, I invite you to rise and share the name as my hand passes around the room. So we rise as one community supporting our mourners on page 598 for the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'gala v'zman kariv yimru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yinaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, gamiran be'alma v'imru. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Useh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen.
You could stay standing like this. I mean, it takes work to have to sit back down, so why bother? Let's sing. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai.
Shabbat shalom. We will